What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's video. I'm super excited to have you here because we're here to talk about one of my favorite JRPG series of all time, and that is Dragon Quest. I mean, who doesn't like Dragon Quest, am I right? But that's not all. I have managed to bring together some amazing content creators to come on and talk about their favorite Dragon Quest game and why it's their favorite. But before we get started, I would love if you all would do me a huge favor. Drop down in the comments below. Let us know what your favorite Dragon Quest game is. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's jump right into the games.
Hi there, everybody. This is David over at the channel davidvinc, and thank you so much, slamzany, for having me on. He wants to know what I think is the best Dragon Quest game, and I'm not going to tell you what I think. I'm going to tell you what I know. I'm going to tell you what is the best Dragon Quest game, and that is mine and the creator, Yuji Hoри's favorite game in the whole series, Dragon Quest V. This game has it all. It is a coming-of-age story of a little boy who goes off on like a journey with his father and he's looking for his mother, and then kind of all hell breaks loose and he grows up into an adolescent where he's off on his own. He has to go on his own journey, get some revenge for what happened to his family, and he goes off and he marries. He has a wife. He has children. And everything looks to be going great for this guy until all hell breaks loose again. And a couple more years go by, and now he is an adult. His children are grown, and they go on with him on his journey, spanning the world. This is definitely an epic tale. It is the middle of the Zenyathine saga, and it is just absolutely fantastic. It is thrilling, it is heartwarming, and it is heart-wrenching at the same time. It is definitely a journey that you will always remember. Thank you again, slamzany, so much for having me on. This has been David, and I do hope to see all of y'all at my channel, davidvinc. Have a good day.
Hi everyone, and thanks so much for having me on. I'm Petchigoo, Dragon Quest obsessed, archivist, collector, etc, etc. And one of my absolute favourite Dragon Quest games is Dragon Quest X Online. Dragon Quest X is an MMO unlike any that I've ever played before. It's a game that brings the very essence of the Dragon Quest franchise to multiplayer, and does so without losing a single thing. In fact, it gains so much, offering some of the best storytelling and characters of any game in the entire franchise. The world of Astoltia is absolutely full of stunning environments, with each region having its own culture and having its own storyline, from hilarious to tragic, as is the Dragon Quest way. As an MMO, Dragon Quest X can be, if you want it to be, a full multiplayer experience, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. I've made so many friends all over the world and so many memories, and I wouldn't replace any of them. The community is nothing but kind and welcoming, which is a bit unusual for an MMO. There is a system in place that lets you play the game your way. If you do prefer single player, you can just go through the entire game without interacting with anyone, instead choosing to recruit friends or complete strangers to join you as NPC party members. I really feel like Dragon Quest X is just perfect, both as a Dragon Quest game and as an MMO. I own far more copies than any one person should have, even some excessively large collector's editions that I imported from Japan. It's just one of my favourite Dragon Quest, in fact one of my favourite video games in general of all time. Thanks again for having me on the channel, and if any of you watching love Dragon Quest and maybe occasionally other RPGs, then I hope to see some of you over on my channel one day too.
Hey everybody, it's femtrooper, and thank you to slamzany for having me on today to talk about my favorite Dragon Quest game, and of course, it is the one I played first, Dragon Quest XI. I love Dragon Quest XI so much, I can't even believe that I waited so long to get into the series, because now Dragon Quest is pretty much my favorite series. I'm not sure why I waited so long into the Dragon Quest series, like 11, to actually get into them, but whatever. I did, and I loved it. 11 is my favorite still, even though I've played many others. They're all amazing, and some have gotten pretty close, but something is just so special about 11. I mean, it has so much emotion. It has one of the best parties in a JRPG ever. So I just feel like Dragon Quest 11, amazing. It's everything I want. You travel from town to town, you meet amazing party members, they're actually super interesting characters that you like and you want to know their backstories, and then There's varied areas that you get to go to. Like you get to go to a town that's fully, engulfed in ice. And then you get to go to a super beachy town. You get to go to that, really deserty, hot town. It's got all of that stuff. Really fun world map, fun enemies, fun everything. I really like this game. I shed a tear in this game. Like, I really like Dragon Quest XI. It's so worth your time. I talk about it way too much, and I'm sure everyone and their dog has played it by now. But if for some reason you haven't, because the time length may be daunting to some people, just go for it. It's really fun. It's honestly one of the best JRPGs ever made. Thank you again to slamzany for having me on today to talk about one of my favorite games ever, and I hope to see you guys over at my channel.
Heyo, it's retrobrandon, and my top Dragon Quest game is Dragon Quest XI's. But Paige took that already. So, Dragon Quest VIII, baby! Dragon Quest VIII was the first major Dragon Quest game that I played, but the PS2 was my first Sony console because Final Fantasy is what converted me to PlayStation. As I previously only had Nintendo consoles, and I didn't know that Final Fantasy was on there because I was young and an idiot. And during that time, I became obsessed with anything that had the label Square Enix on it. So Dragon Quest VIII comes along with a playable demo of Final Fantasy XII. Between the demo, the Square Enix logo, and Toriyama art front and center, I was on it in a heartbeat. This is the first fully 3D Dragon Quest game as the series stepped onto the PS2, where the world map shifted to these rolling hills and forests and exploration that felt way more immersive. For me, this was just another Square Enix game on the PS2, am I right? And boy, did I love this game. Starting with the hero, Yangus, and the Monster King was such a great hook to get you interested in this weird cast of characters, and Dual Magus is such a killable villain with those classic Kefka crazy evil jester vibes. It was so good. And I am a sucker for skill trees. I'm already the weirdo who loves grinding in these games, but this game was so much fun to grind and build up and choose which skill tree you were gonna go down. And since I was new to the series, finding out what metal slimes were, oh my. I still have a problem with this, by the way. I just played Dragon Quest III recently and basically played to hunt those things down. That level up jingle feels so good. And not to mention the tension system that basically makes your characters go Super Saiyan. Relevant because, Toriyama. Endgame, last boss, the Dragovian armor and the King's Sword with full tension was so flippin' cool. But the thing that makes this game top tier for me was the cast. They got all of the other elements right, the exploration, the secret items you can find, the classic mini medals, etc. But the cast of the original game with Yangus and Jessica and Angelo, the hero, and even all of the other NPCs, with all of their silly quirks and their backstories, it just made the game so charming. It was funny, it was endearing, and in the 3DS version, they extended that cast out even more. So it just made this game so much fun to play. I still love going through it. Honestly, after putting this together, I'm tempted to drop the games I'm working on right now and just go play Dragon Quest VIII again. I do have both the PS2 and the 3DS version, so this is very tempting. Anyway, thanks for having me on, Slam. It's always a pleasure, my dude. And if you're a fan of retro games with a major dose of RPGs and nostalgia, then check me out over at retrobrandon. More Dragon Quest videos are bound to come on this channel. See you over there.
Hey everyone, I'm Dookie03, slamzany. Thank you so much for having me in this collab video. I wanted to talk about my favorite Dragon Quest game, and it's honestly always a toss-up for me between Dragon Quest XI and Dragon Quest IV. Dragon Quest IV is going to take the win here due to nostalgic reasons. This was a game I grew up playing on the NES as Dragon Warrior 4 back in the day. Absolutely fell in love with it. This is the game that made me fall in love with not only JRPGs, but gaming as a whole. Before this, gaming was just something I would do as a pastime. After popping in Dragon Warrior 4, as it was called back then on the NES, I was absolutely hooked. This was the first game for me that if I wasn't playing it, I was always constantly thinking about playing it. The characters, the world, the story, the monsters, the vast sense of exploration in this game. I love how each chapter you start as a different group of characters and you play through their story and you get to experience like a new part of the world. All the characters have their own thing that kind of drives them, and that's what makes me kind of fall in love with each of the characters and their groups. And then when they all kind of come together to fight towards a common goal is just so well done. It's crazy how a game on the NES still to this day has probably one of the best video game parties of all time. Once you got to the 5th chapter, you controlled the heroes, and based on the characters' personalities and what you set their tactics to, the characters would kind of fight in their own way. So like Tornico would kind of screw around and do whatever at times, but then all of a sudden he'd like trip and do a critical hit. Alina's always going to try and do crits. You get her like the Falcon Knife earrings, and she is going to like double attack and crit probably 50% or more of the time, doing crap loads of damage. She's super fast as well. One of my favorite characters of all time. All these characters are just so well done. Kyril started that whole meme where he's going to constantly try to cast one-hit kill spells like Thwack and Kuthwack, and they almost never work, but it's freaking hilarious. Just love that guy. I just love everything about Dragon Quest IV. If not for it, I never would have really got into JRPGs, and that's why it's my pick as the best Dragon Quest game. Thanks again, slamzany, for having me on. I am Dookie03, and I hope to see you guys on my channel someday as well.
Hey everybody, Eric here. Thank you so much, slamzany, for having me on today to chat about Dragon Quest and one of my favorite games, the series Dragon Quest III, or the Dragon Quest III HD Pixel Remaster. Such a great game. Here's why I love it. Dragon Quest III is often regarded as the pinnacle of the series because it combines a lot of elements that make the franchise special while also doing some new and what was really groundbreaking for its time. Dragon Quest III offers an unparalleled sense of adventure and freedom, starting with the ability to create your own party from a variety of classes. This was the series first. This level of customization allows you to craft your own team to suit your preferred playstyle, whether you want a balanced mix of offense and defense or a specialized lineup tailored for specific challenges. This really set a precedent for party building systems in JRPGs, giving you a sense of ownership for your journey. And the narrative here is deceptively simple, but it's also very profoundly. At first, it appears to be a straightforward tale of a hero on a quest to save the world from evil. However, it slowly unfolds to something much larger, connecting to the events of the original Dragon Quest and revealing its place as a prequel, really the first game in the timeline of the series. The twist that you are the legendary hero laid the foundation for the series' lore is easily one of the most memorable moments of the story. And as with any Dragon Quest, it's full of expansive stuff, secrets, exploration, discovery. Towns and dungeons are filled with puzzles and NPCs, all of which are memorable, and the day-night cycle is really great, adding a layer of depth, changing the behavior of the townspeople and opening up new opportunities for exploration. This really makes the game feel alive, setting it apart from any other RPG of its era. And on a gameplay level, Dragon Quest III achieves a near-perfect balance of challenge and accessibility. Class system not only allows for strategic depth, but also includes the option to reclass characters, enabling you to experiment and improve your party over time. The combat is straightforward, but also very engaging, with a steady difficulty curve that keeps battles satisfying without feeling unfair. But in my opinion, what truly cements Dragon Quest III as the best in the series is how it captures the essence of adventure and heroism. The game's progression feels natural and rewarding, from humble beginnings in a small town to epic battles against world-threatening foes. Yes, I know a lot of other games, pretty much every other game Dragon Quest series does this, but I just feel that it hits really well in 3. Its combination of player freedom, a richly designed world, a deeply satisfying story, makes pretty much for a timeless classic in my opinion. And for many people, it's the quintessential Dragon Quest experience. Perfect blend of nostalgia, innovation that continues to influence the way that JRPGs are made and played to this day. So that's Dragon Quest III and why it's one of my favorite games in the series, and possibly why it's one of the best as well. So thanks so much, slamzany, for having me on today, and I hope to see you guys over on my channel as well soon. Bye-bye for now.
Hello, John aka Chickenfillets here. Now, like Dave Grohl famously once said, I've got a confession to make. Now, I don't think when he sang that song that it was about Dragon Quest, but the confession I need to make is, well, I've not played that much Dragon Quest in my time. Now, thus far in my Dragon Quest journey, I've played the likes of Dragon Quest XI, I've played a bit of Dragon Quest The Journey of the Cursed King, and the Dragon Quest I'm going to talk about today, Dragon Quest Monsters The Dark Prince. Now, Dragon Quest Monsters is a spin-off of the mainline Dragon Quest games. However, with this title, we play as Pizarro, who is the main antagonist from the mainline game Dragon Quest IV. Now, with this as well, it is a monster catching game with utterly fantastic gameplay. Now, our anti-hero is out for revenge, but however, his powers are stripped away from him by his father, and he has to use monster kind to fight his fight. And you're able to capture some of the most iconic Dragon Quest monsters. You can combine them together, make even more powerful monsters, and fight against the enemy. And honestly, going on this colourful expedition with your cast of characters is fantastic. It has the charm that you would expect from any Dragon Quest game, and if you've not played this title, I highly recommend that you pick it up. It's available on the likes of Nintendo Switch, you can pick it up on Steam, and it is available to play on mobile phones as well. Honestly, I had an absolute banger of a time with this title, and I honestly expect you will have a banging time with it as well. Now, of course, we can't forget to thank the most slammiest person in the room, slamzany, for having me on this Dragon Quest collaboration. I've been John, aka chickenfillets. Make sure to pop over and say hello on my channel. Until next time, tatty bye.
Dragon Quest IX stands out as one of the most unique games in the entire series, and one that I think few people talk about enough. I hope to shed some light on this one because it's actually one I really enjoyed, and I find myself looking back on it very fondly. Released for the Nintendo DS in 2010, Dragon Quest IX brought several innovations to the series while maintaining the charm and depth that we all love. For me, this entry remains one of the most memorable Dragon Quest titles out there, and one that I have some amazing memories with. One of the most exciting aspects of Dragon Quest IX is its deep character customization. Unlike previous entries where you followed a predetermined cast, Dragon Quest IX allows you to create your own protagonist and recruit an entirely custom party. You can choose from a variety of vocations or classes, each with unique abilities and playstyles, making party composition just this huge and important strategic element in the game, and one that was clearly a main focus. The ability to change vocations further deepens the overall experience, in my opinion, encouraging experimentation and long-term character progression. Me, personally, I love experimentation in my JRPGs, and that's why I think I immediately connected with Dragon Quest IX. Not only does customization extend to the gameplay though, it also applies to aesthetics. The game features an insane selection of armor, weapons, and accessories, each of which visibly changes the appearance of your characters. I mean, this level of personalization enhances immersion and allows players to really express their creativity, making every playthrough feel super unique. Despite being on the Nintendo DS and being a little bit of an older game, Dragon Quest IX manages to create a visually appealing and immersive world that I absolutely got lost in. I still look back at this game so fondly, like I said before, and I think it's easily one of the best looking DS games out there. Yes, Dragon Quest IX was definitely a bold departure in some ways, and it remains one of the most beloved entries in the series with me for a number of reasons. Its emphasis on customization and deep in-game content, not to mention all the multiplayer aspects they added in, helped it stand out as one of the best games I've ever played. Even today, I continue to reminisce about these unforgettable adventures that I went on, and I hope for a modern remake that could bring this one up to more modern standards. I mean, could you imagine a Dragon Quest IX remake on the Switch 2? Let's speak it into existence. I want so many Dragon Quest games remade, but this is one that I really, really love and would definitely like to see it get a second chance. Anyway, that's it from me in this one. I just want to give a huge shout out, a gigantic thank you to everyone who stopped by and participated in this collaboration. It was really amazing just learning everyone's favorite Dragon Quest game and getting their overall experiences with the franchise in general. But most importantly, please stop by each of their channels, show them some love. They're putting out amazing content all the time, and I'm sure you'll love what they have to offer. And until next time, I'm out.